My name is Bailey McCallson. I live in Bethel, Alaska. I am a Yupik Inuit, and I am also a ivory carver. My Yupik name is Banigajungak, which was passed down from me, and it was my grandmother's Yupik name. When somebody had passed away and there was a child who was born after them, then they would be given their Yupik name because we believe that the spirit had passed onto that young person. And we have a Yupik word for that, and that's doingunredok, which means it does not end, and the life continues and goes on. Aside from carving, I love flying, and being able to fly in Alaska has really helped me to fall in love with where I live and be able to connect more with the land that I'm on. From the beautiful blue glaciers and the snow-capped mountains, it's almost like a turquoise blue coming from the glacier through the glacial runoff, and then hidden lakes that you wouldn't have access to any other way, and then flying out by the bay and just seeing all the water, and it really just made everything feel possible and accessible. Everything that I'm seeing while I'm flying in Palmer from the air, is completely different from when I'm home in Bethel. Even though Bethel is in the same state as Palmer, it's like living in a completely different world. It's very flat in geography. We have a huge river, the Kuskokwim River, that we're living right on the edge of, and it's just surrounded by millions of lakes on the tundra. And it's a small, pretty underdeveloped town with rough roads, but I think our real development is in our community. So the Yupik people are Native Alaskans, and we're a very nomadic culture before Western influence, which was only about 200 years ago. Inland, we were traveling by dog sled in winter, and then we would hunt in the ocean, and we'd hunt in sealskin kayaks, hunting things like the walrus. When the walruses are harvested, they're shared with the rest of either the village or the family, and nothing is wasted at that point. The skin is even eaten. They'll take things like the stomach from the walrus, and they can make traditional drums that we use for yurak when we're doing Yupik dance. And obviously the tusks of the walrus are used, but traveling to Anchorage, going to any of the museums or these places and gift shops where there was sculptures that were made out of walrus ivory, I was always really drawn to it. I always wished I could do it, and I really wanted to do it. And a few years ago, I had been given a few small pieces of just scrap ivory, and then ended up making some jewelry out of it. And then from there, I was like, man, I wish I tried this earlier. So when I'm making things like a pair of earrings, I'll take the ivory and I'll cut it to the length that I need if I don't already have a piece that's sitting aside that the piece could fit into. And then I'll cut them into small flat slabs and glue them together. And by gluing the two pieces together, it just allows me to be able to make them mirrored to each other. And from that, I'll draw on the design that I want to make out of it, and I'll take it through a scroll saw and cut my pieces out. And then from there, a lot of it is just the refining and cleaning it up. So then I'll take small needle files and file them out, sanding the surface using my Dremel tools to kind of round them and give them a more contoured look. From there, then it's polishing, drilling. I'll make some eye loops from sterling silver wire and glue them and have them fitted for the piece, and then add the hooks and box them, and that's basically the whole process. As a carver, I also make necklaces and bracelets and rings. I've made belt buckles, and I've made a few small sculptures, and I'm working on a very large piece. Walrus ivory and elephant ivory are two completely different ivories. There is a heavy stigma behind ivory, and especially because of the trophy hunting with elephants in Africa and how it's affected the population, where an entire elephant would be wasted. But that's completely different from the hunt we have for the walrus, where The tusks are almost a byproduct, because when we hunt for the walrus, we're hunting for that sustenance, and we're hunting to be able to provide for the village and the families. To make the jewelry, or to make the sculptures, or to utilize, every last bit of the animal is respecting that animal. It's making sure that even that animal is a part of the story. It doesn't end.